is there just a simple command I can give her with a with a tap 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 or something? Because we're going to my dad's house this weekend in Michigan, and she's pretty good there, even though she's out of her routine. But sometimes she just goes nuclear.
Sure.
And I'd like to be able to try to start.
Gotcha. So, is this like you're already in the room?
Yeah, and all of a sudden
everybody's settled.
Yeah, and she seems settled. And then, out of nowhere, we hear something. Maybe it's a dog next door. Maybe it's somebody doing something.
Sure.
She's starting to feel territorial in that house because we go there quite a bit.
Sure, she can come.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we would do is a couple of things. One would be, yes, you can use the e-collar to correct her. If it's someone who's come into the room, it's a couple of pieces. That's where that video comes into play. Because it settles her down that when they move, we shouldn't see her trigger again. Okay? Now, if it does, you wouldn't actually say anything. You would just remote her, and she should ideally stop on that first tap. Okay? Because if it takes you several taps before she settles, it's going to be a constant problem. Okay? So you're trying to find the number high enough that just right away dissuades her from. And we wouldn't. Yeah, and the reason why I wouldn't say anything here is because she's doing it as a nervous response. Okay, so then she's gonna have a more heightened sense of reactivity that you would always have to say something, and we're trying to dissuade her from just doing it in the first place. Okay.
And she's better than she used to be.
Good. But definitely for this trip coming up, until we plan that Zoom, you can feel free to use that e-collar, have it on her to settle her down even more. Have it ready so in case she triggers and somebody moves, you can stop her. You don't need to say anything, just tap. No obedient stuff, just tap. Because this isn't aversive. This is meant to stop things, okay? We can, of course, teach things like sit down, stay calm, and all that. But it's actually meant to stop things. Like, stop barking, stop jumping, and all that stuff. So you can absolutely do that. You can use it as a correctional tool when she's in an enclosed area. I'm not going to have you do it when she's in an unenclosed area. Okay, so like if you're here and she's off leash eating goose poop, I wouldn't correct her there, with the concern of accidentally scaring her and having her run. Okay, once we get recall down, we're fine because we're not worried about the rental. Okay, and then during the Zoom session, I'll give you other ways of correcting Ruthie that aren't solely reliant on the collar, so that you have other means of stopping her behavior. Okay. Wasn't counting on a jazz band. Yeah, let's move more towards the fence over there. Oh yeah. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clip the short leash or the two leashes together. Make one long leash. Yeah, 30 feet tends to be a realistic length. Okay, cool. So you're all clipped together. And we're going to clip that leash to the same ring that her flat collar's on, but we're going to leave both leashes on her.
Okay.
Now I'm going to take the short leash here. Now, does she have any concept of recall at all?
I would say a little bit. I mean, but I think it's very much her call, not mine.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, if she feels like I'm done here and I say come, she might come. But if she doesn't want to go because there's a dog or something interests her,
sure,
I could say come until I pull in the face.
Gotcha. So what we're gonna do here is we're not gonna worry about the work. We're gonna just condition the responds first, and then we'll layer the word, okay? So what's your number at right now?
Right now, for the walk, we're at 28.
So let's go down. We're going to go down to 14.
Okay.
So whenever we teach anything new, we always go down low, and then work our way back up, okay? Step clear. Ruthie here.
All right.
And so hold the lead. So do you feel that tension there? So we're trying to apply just a slight level of tension to direct Ruthie. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to have a little bit of tension, and then you're going to start tapping once that tension kicks in. Okay? You're also going to move backwards.
Okay.
So it's tapping as you're lightly pulling, moving backwards until Ruthie starts to move towards you. Once she's walking or running towards you, you'll stop the tapping, but you'll move at 3 more steps. So it'll be like backwards. 1, 2, 3, and then you would wait. And we're going to see what Ruthie does. Okay. If Ruthie passes you, you're going to pivot the picture and then move back the opposite way. Okay. So you're always facing Ruthie, but always moving away from her. So if she comes to you and goes that way, you'll turn like this and move this way. Okay? So you're always facing her, but moving away from. If she detours, you're tapping until she's actively moving towards you. The moment she starts moving towards you, we stop the tapping. That lets you know that's what I wanted you to do. Okay? So I'm going to back her up a little bit here. Tap, and back. Wait right there. That's okay. Now here, go backwards, tap, tap, wait right there. Backwards, tap, 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 tap. Let's bump our number. You're at 12, right? Or 14?
Yeah.
Let's go to 18. Back, tap, 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 tap. Go ahead and reel in some leash here. Reel in some leash. There you go. Tap, back. There she is. Now wait a moment. Turn to face her. Backwards, tap, 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 tap. Right there. Back, tap, tap, tap. Keep it. Tap. Good girl. Wait, right there. What happens? Turn to face her. Back, tap, tap, tap. Good. Wait right there. You're at 18?
Yes.
Go 22. Turn to face her. Back, tap, 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 tap. Jump, pull, tap, tap, tap. Good. See what she does here. 26. Turn to face her. Back, tap, tap, tap. Good. Wait right there. Let's go to, what was the number for the first guy?
It was 29.
29. Let's go to 30. 26?
Yeah.
30. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Wait right there. Back, tap, tap, tap. Go ahead and reel in some more leash. Good. Tap, back. Tap, back. Good. Keep reeling in leash. And careful with the tree behind you. Tap, 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 tap. Let's go to 34. Really, back. Tap, 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 tap. 38. Tap, 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 tap. Good. Tap. Wait right there. So what we want is we want her
butt down.
Super close, okay? And here she's 3 feet away from you. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and let your leash go slack. Is instead of wrapping it, I'm gonna have you feed it through your hand and just throw it on the ground. Okay, so that you're shortening it a bit more as she's moving towards you to limit the amount of slack that she has to make it easier for her, okay? So here, good, turn to face her, move back, tap, and just start feeding as you're tapping that leash through. There you go. Tap. Yep. Right there. Turn to face her. Keep reeling that leash. Tap, 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 back, tap. Right there. And what you can do here is with your right hand where the remote is, you can use your fingers so that you can just grab a lot of leash and just throw them back. Okay, so yeah, reel it in as you're tapping back. Tap, tap, tap. Wait right there. Back, tap, tap, tap. Reel in that leash. Tap, there you go. Tap, tap, tap. Wait right there. There, finally, and praise. You got 34?
Yes, sir. No,
Okay.
38.
38? Okay, we're gonna try to come more. Great. So, when you're using that leash, to give you an example, remote here, I'm just throwing it back, right? So you're trying to reel it in quickly to limit the amount of space that she has because she wasn't getting it the other way. She just had too much space to like dilly-dally. So I'm just throwing that leash back as I'm backing up to where it's eliminating all the extra slack that she has to make up to get distracted by it. Once she gets it, then it'll be tapping and she's moving towards you. But right now, since she's got so much space as an option, she's using it all. Okay? So we'll try it again. This way. Okay, you ready? Yep. Yeah. Good. Wait right there. Back, tap, tap. Good. Wait right there. Back, tap. Right. Wait. Good. Tap back. Right there. Wait. Now praise. Better. Good. How's better? We did it 3 more times. Ready? Tap, tap, tap. Good. Reeling that leash. Wait right there. Praise. Girl. Much better. 2 more. Great. Tap. It's okay. Back, tap. Good. Back. Now wait there. Praise. Tap. Tap. Praise. Good. One more. Good, right there. Back, tap, good move. Yep, keep back. You got it. Good. Excellent. Tap. Good. So when that happens, when you praise her, she jumps up. Be ready for the tap. And you want to stay still and do what you're doing, right? Because you're like, good girl, right? And she's going, okay. And you're teaching her, even though I'm giving you this energy, you have to keep the paws on the ground, right? So then you keep yourself in the position you're in as you go to that attack and settle, then continue with the good girl to help her differentiate. So she's going, oh, just because mom's giving me all this love doesn't mean I can just jump all over her, okay? Because if you remove yourself, she doesn't tie what the tap is for.
Right.
So I keep the context in effect until the dog goes, oh, even though you're bending over and petting me, you give me all this attention, I shouldn't jump up.
It's so funny now when she stops and walks, she literally looks up at me like you're gonna pet me now, right?
Oh, really?
I just don't.
Yeah. So from the first one to the last one, much easier now, right?
Yeah.
So on the last two, she got tangled up.
Yeah.
And I said, keep moving, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why I do that is we're training for realistic contact. The times that I've had clients tell me that their obedience really kicked in was when someone blew up a firework and scared their dog. The dog was chasing after something and it was going towards the street, or running towards something they shouldn't, like a dog fight at the park. Okay? So in real life, we're going to have distractions, sense other dogs, things on the ground, whatever, that I'm using this to my advantage to prep her for real life. So she gets tangled up, right? So like I had a dog that we worked with and he panicked. He got tangled up a little bit and he started like, he was literally shrieking. So, because it's like a high stress dog, and the owner felt bad and I go, make the dog do it, make the dog do it. And they did, and I was like, this wasn't to be a jerk, but I'm like, your dog clearly panic, and life's not going to let you reset. So if in a realistic context your dog is panicking, you've essentially already worked the dog through it in a different type of setting, but still panicking. Okay, so I liken it to having a fire escape plan and hoping it never happens, and like practicing. So I take little things like that. It's not realistic in the sense that she wouldn't have a leash on or getting tangled in her legs. But it's realistic in the sense that something is bothering her, and she's like, what the hell is going on here? And you're going, you still need to get over here. Okay? That's how I think about it. Exactly. Now, I will say that I did have a client, pre-client, had their dog in a long leash, running around with other dogs off leash, and it wrapped around the dog's leg and it broke the dog's leg. So do use, your judgment. If she looks super tangled up, then I would say, yeah, stop. You don't want to risk that. But if it's just a couple of like move around and stuff, I work the dog through it. And that movement back and that tug and that tapping is what helps them do that stuff. Okay?
She did have a role in she jumped over the
Oh. Yeah.
and she came down hard and she swept me. She was fine. I mean, I have to stay right there. We took her in.
Sure. Yeah. She probably just landed
She was off. She can be off. The dog runs around with other dogs and just tugs.
Yeah. No, it happens. I know like the dogs, like every now and then they'll run too much, they'll limp and stuff. It's usually a full. I usually give it a couple of days before I do a check-in.
Well, we were glad we did them.
Oh, really? Gotcha.
She'll grab something that she should have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so she had something, which she's fine now.
She passed
They had
it.
to give her special. We had to give her a lighter diet for a little while. So it was good that we brought her in, even though it wasn't
for something
her
else.
For something else, it just turned out.
Gotcha.
Maybe you wanted to go to that. I don't know.
Or maybe it was all those things together.
Yeah, together.
Like landing wrong and then
I
like.
could tell she didn't feel good.
Gotcha. So we're gonna do the same exercise. We're gonna do about 3 more.
Okay.
We're trying to make it more easy.
Okay.
So it should be 1 tap and she's running to you.
Okay.
So we're still in that learning phase, and then we're gonna tie in the word. So right now, again, I'm not worried about the word count.
Okay.
Just teaching Luna, and when you feel this, it now means to you. Okay. Questions about any of the stuff so far? All right. Wait a moment. Are you tapping already? Tap. 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 Good.
I lost it.
Okay.
stopped though. That was good.
Yeah, she came to you, so we'll count that. Okay. Tap. Good right there. Tap. 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 Keep back. You got it. Tap. Good. Tap. Tap. Back. Good. Right there. Tap. Very good. And praise. You got it. That was a good one. One more.
Yeah.
Tap, back, tap. There we go. Good. Good. And praise. Excellent. So now we're going to start layering the word come. Everything's going to stay the same, except now you have a start word. So it'll be Ruthie come, then the tapping and the moving back, okay? Now let's say you do call Ruthie and she starts moving to the word. You're still going to tap at least once, okay? So the reason for this is if I'm Ruthie and I'm over here, right, and you call her, and she responds very quickly, and you tap too late, what do you think might happen? Yeah, what might she do? What else? Yeah, run away, right? Because of confusion. Because for her, she's thinking, I heard something, I did something, and then the remote happened.
Yeah, so I did something wrong.
Exactly, right? So then it confuses the dog, and they start to run off the opposite way, and we never want them to run away. We always want them to run to us. So here, this is how we prove our obedience, because I'm training for realistic environment, right? Is that the tap for every time you call her during this time, and Luna's doing the same thing, is because she's one class ahead of you guys. She's on 4, you're on 3. So Ruthie come tap, right? Is at some point you're going to tap too late, and you're going to create confusion. But at this stage, she's still on the leash. So I'm not worried about if I confuse Ruthie because I can work her through it and make her return. So there's some kinks that happen that we want to make sure we get out through this kind of leash phase so that when she's fully off leash, let's say she does get confused, you're going to have a much higher success of working her through that confusion because you've already done it before. Same thing with the long leash getting tangled in her legs. It's all about prepping her for a realistic contact, okay? So it'll be Ruthie come tap, right? So even if you see her moving, that one tap, right? And then if she moves towards you, you're good, she's feeling the leash. So she arrives, good girl, then we reset. Otherwise, the whole rule of her going off and deviating and moving backwards and remoting to bring her in still applies. Okay? Any questions?
No, I got it.
All right. Great. Good girl. Tap, 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 back. You got it. Good. Go ahead and stop there. There she goes. Atta girl. Tap. Good. And back. There you go. And then wait there. Raise. Very good. Keep going. break. Back in the shade. Big difference.
Big difference. Ruthie, come.
Tap, back, good. Go and hold right there. And praise. Tap, right, good. Good girl.
That's Ruthie, come.
Tap, tap, good. Back, tap, 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 right there. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. There she goes. And break. Good girl. And break. And one more.
Ruthie, come.
Good. Now try this. Move the long leash to your right hand. That's good, right there. And then relax and just say heel and walk forward.
Heel.
Tap, 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 tap. There she goes. And slow down to a stop. Very good. So, on a couple of them, not so quick.
Yeah.
I think her number's going up right here.
Yeah.
Now, one thing to factor in is the weather.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things can override the e-collar. One is mental state. So if a dog is under a lot of stress, I might be higher up on that collar to cut through the stress, anxiety, fear, nervousness, aggression, whatever it is. The next thing is the heat. So I remember I was working with the dog. It was like I think it was a golden retriever, like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was on the baby collar, the one that my Chihuahua uses.
Yeah.
And his number was 20, right? Super soft dog, very easy to work with. And then I was walking with him, and then I was tapping him, but nothing was happening on 20. I ended up going to 100.
Whoa.
Right? And that was the max for my collar.
Yeah.
And he was responding like it was 20. And I was like, you know, because it was very early on in my career. And then I stopped and I rested in the shade for a bit, and I started walking, and I didn't turn it down. I tapped it, and big old response. And I was like, whoa. So I learned that when it's really hot, that the body heat can override the collar. Okay. So if you're ever working with Ruthie and it's a warm day like this, or if you're out in the sun, and you're like, man, she's not responding to that, 33, correct, right? But do remember, if you stop and rest in the shade, you want to dip that number down, because now she's going to have more awareness of what's going on, okay? So it's completely normal, happens all the time. And, when it comes to practicing the obedience, your obedience is good as the context that you practice in. So that's why we like Oz Park. It's very busy, a lot of stuff going on. So if people can do it here, ideally they can do it anywhere else. So it's not just environment in terms of distraction. We also have winter, we have thunderstorms, we have rain, really hot days, All those things are different contexts, right? So I had a client and we were working over by the lakefront on Edison, and we got a thunderstorm came through and there's no coverage, right? So I was like, I'll train if you want to train, but if you have to cancel, I won't hold it against you. And he's like, yeah, let's train. So I'm like, all right. So we trained, but then we found out that his dog was scared of thunderstorms. And he didn't know this because he's always been inside during the thunderstorm. So his dog actually kept trying to run away the entire class. So I was like, oh, this is actually really good that we did this, because your dog is scared of thunderstorms. Now, realistically speaking, nobody would go out during the thunderstorm, right? But if he had not done that, we wouldn't have known. And if he would have been caught off guard with his dog off leash during the thunderstorm, we would have never worked on that, okay? So in that lesson, I told him, I can't make your dog like this thunderstorm, but we can teach your dog not to run away. Okay, so every time the thunder would go off, instead of running away from him, we taught him to run to the owner instead. Okay, I do the same thing for dogs that are afraid of fireworks. We set up fireworks, the dog wants to run away, we teach him don't run away, you run to your owner instead. This is no verbal cue, this is default response. Okay, so something just to consider is, you know, if you've never, like you said, she doesn't like the rain.
I got better, but she does not like it.
Yeah, and I don't need them to like it, you know, but at least like get a feel for what Ruthie's about, because you never know if like maybe she's off leash and it starts raining, that's going to be problematic there. Okay, so I suggest now a couple times at least practicing to get a feel for what are you about in this kind of environment, weather-wise, so you can always be a step ahead. Okay, questions about any of this stuff?
The heat thing is missing out.
Yeah, it's super common.
It's, you know, hot.
Yes, you know, and because she's, you know, your number was 33, and I saw your heel, she walked right in, everything was great. And then you've been here for a while, it's a little bit hotter than previously. Yeah, okay, so all that stuff is completely normal. You just adjust, just remember to go back down if you do pull off the shape, okay? So, what we're gonna do now is, for the recall, the way we're practicing is not realistic. Like, no one's gonna be sitting waiting for you to call Ruthie with her, right? She's gonna be doing something. And again, she's either gonna be chasing something, running after something, or running towards something she shouldn't. So, this is just setting the foundation so that you do get the realistic response, okay? Now, I wouldn't recommend at this stage that you take Ruthie to Travis and have her be off leash running and trying to practice there. It's too advanced. Too many distractions going on right now, okay? You want to build to that. So, one thing you can do like with your daughters is we take the same exercise, take Ruthie, and as you're walking away with her, then you call her. Have water over there? No, I left it. Here. So,
can we go run and get it? Huh?
I should get it. So, we're recreating that movement away. Okay? So, first we start with walking, and then we practice that. And what we want to see is that Ruthie, when walking away, immediately just leaves and goes back to whoever's calling her without any leash tension. It should be Ruthie come tap, and she turns and returns to you. Okay, but it's most likely not going to happen in the beginning. If anything, she's going to get confused, and she's going to glue to the person because she might think heel. Okay, so we keep remoting, we're moving backwards. Eventually, the leash tension or the remote itself gets her to turn around and think that must not be correct. Okay, so once we get that consistent, where she's like disengaging and leaving the person, then I move towards running, making it a little bit more harder. Okay. And then you can make the next step is like playing with Ruthie and running around with her, going back and forth and stuff, and randomly calling her from whoever it is that she's playing with. You're trying to recreate a realistic contact, okay? And that's if you have someone like a two-person team, because you can force that. If it's just you solo, like you take her to Travis, is there anywhere else you take her to play?
No, mainly Travis,
Okay. Is there any, like, let's say there's no dogs there. Is there anything there that gets her attention? Like, does she like go off and wander?
If she sees somebody playing with a ball or something.
Okay. Does she have good ball drive? Like, is she crazy for it, or isn't it? Okay. So what I would do is, you know, we put Ruthie on the long leash, and I tell her break, and I let her be Ruthie. You know, and we'll say it's an empty part, no dogs.
Goes over.
And there's like, you know, trees and like bushes and stuff, and I walk with Ruthie by the trees. I'm wanting her to like explore, to be a dog. And then let's say, does she like rabbits or squirrels?
Yeah, squirrels.
All right. So if I see a tree with squirrels, use it to your advantage. What's that, Ruthie? She goes, right? And I just hang out here. She's over there. And I let her be Ruthie. Be a dog, barking, jumping, you know, all that fun stuff. And I let her do that for like 3 to 5 minutes. And then randomly, she comes. Calling her from that distraction, okay? Trying to make it realistic. If you're practicing solo, the drawback is you can't practice too much because then the dog will glue to you. She'll get too paranoid. She'll go, oh, we're gonna go to the park and she's gonna call me 1,000 times. So there's no point in going, right? So I randomize how many times I call her, during a training session. So the first time I go there, or a number of times, I might just give her the full 30 minutes to be free. And call her one time at the end, leash her up, heel, we walk back home, okay? So one day could be one time, then one time, and then 5 times, and then 2 times, and then 1 time, then 3 times. Like I'm randomizing how many times I call her within that setting so she doesn't get too attached or think like this pointless to try to exploit here because they're just gonna call me again. Yeah, so you're trying to keep it as relaxed and inconspicuous as possible.
Would you just put her off leash?
Long leash. You want that long leash, right?
Yeah.
So I think because remember we have to account for if she gets confused, she makes a mistake or something like that, or maybe you accidentally dial up your collar and you tap her too high. She's like, oh, I'm gonna run away from this. You want to teach her, oops, that was a mistake. You still have to return to me. So at this phase, it's always on the leash. Now let's say you take Ruthie to play with your dog friends and you're gonna take her off the leash. That's fine, but I would refrain from calling her then because it's not 100% yet. Okay, you have to practice. Yes, because if she's playing with like Nash, Roxy, and Luna, and everybody's like, you know, having a good time, that's a lot of distraction that you would work up to that. Okay, and then like I was telling Elizabeth with Luna, I was like, you know, if it's just Nash there, you could do that because it's just Nash. But if it's like 8 other dogs, that's going to be difficult because there's a lot of distraction, a lot of potentials to go to that I wouldn't recommend doing it there. Okay, so in the meantime, until the recall is solid, or at least to a point where you feel fairly confident in it, I avoid Ruthie come, and instead I just go and leash her up. I avoid calling her because if you call her and she goes, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to keep playing, now you've created a gamble. So if I avoid it, because they literally do though, they're like, do I have to listen today? You know? And it's because of that inconsistency. Dogs are all about consistency. So if every time I call Ruthie, I make her return to me, she just thinks I have to go to you. If every time I tell Ruthie sit and I make her always sit, she thinks I just have to do this when I hear sit. Okay? So
if I were to just, if you were playing and I would tell her to come and I wasn't training her, it would be very
yes, at this stage. Okay, so I just, like if she's in the yard, right, I just go, leash her up, and then walk away with her, okay? She doesn't know like, oh, you're leashing me up because you know I won't come when I call you. But what happens is if you call her, she ignores it, and then you go to her, then she goes, well, if you call me, I don't have to return, and then you do the work, right? Then you come to me, and that's what I want to avoid, okay? I want to make sure that every time I call her, she knows always to return. Okay? Questions about this?
So a good exercise is using one of my daughters to just walk.
Yeah, and we'll do some right now to give you an idea of it. Everything stays the same except now you would be calling Ruthie. You know, if you have a 30-foot leash and they're walking away, you would call her about halfway, 10 to 15 feet in, because you want her to break away ideally before the tension kicks in. Okay, so you're giving yourself another 15 to 20 feet to get her to return. The person who has Ruthie would continue moving. Because if they stay still, what you would see is she's going to glue to them and she's going to jump all over them because she's thinking heel. So they would keep walking. There's going to be some confusion, but at some point they're going to be outside the range of the leash and she's going to feel the tension and she's going to learn to return. Okay? So we'll try a few of those. And what's her number?
Her number right now is 42.
We're going to dip it down. We're going to go down to 32 because she's cooled off for a bit. But I'm not lazy. Yeah, that's really tall and lanky. Come here. Come here. Oh, sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. I'm going to start beside you to give yourself more time. There we go. So they would start beside you like this, so that you have space and time to give that recall. And I would do it about now.
Ruthie,
Tap,
come.
tap, tap, back, tap, tap, back. Move backwards. 1, 2, 3, right there. And praise. So when you issue that command, he will always move backwards. Because let's say Ruthie's out of earshot, she can't hear you. She feels that tap. She goes, I know this means look for somebody.
Yeah.
And then she sees you doing this.
Yeah.
It's her visual of, I need to return. Okay. So I do this to this day with my dogs. They've been off leash trained for 8 years. Is when I call them or whatever, you always see me do at least that 3-step back.
Yeah, to give my visual.
Exactly. So for, it's kind of like for the sit and for the down kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this is what we call it. Break. And break. No.
Ruthie, come.
Tap, 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 back, tap, tap. Backwards. 1, 2, 3, that's good. Turn to face her, that's too far. Back, tap, tap, tap. Right there. And praise.
Good girl.
Yeah, so we always want Ruthie in that 2 to 3 foot radius. Okay? Within a 2 to 3 foot radius. Okay? You're at 32?
Yeah.
Let's go to 36. So now we're slowly working our way back up. We dipped it so that we didn't surprise her because of that body heat. She cooled off for a bit. So if we would have done 42 still, right off the bat, it may have been a bit more like a startling. Okay? Come on, girl.
Ruthie, come.
Tap, tap, tap. There it is. And backwards. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Back, tap, tap. Good right there. That's fine. Good. Excellent. Do 2 more. Break. Now.
Ruthie, come.
Yeah, there it is. Good.
Come on.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to do 1 more.
It's funny, you can almost see their brain work.
Thinking about it? Yeah. Break. Break.
Ruthie, come.
There it is. Back. Tap. Tap. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Good. Let's go to your 36. We're gonna go to 40.
Okay.
So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna up the speed a bit. So I'm gonna be jogging, not running. And the same thing, you're probably gonna have to call a bit sooner because I'm gonna be getting away fairly quickly, right?
Okay. All right. Ruthie, come.
Tap, 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 back. 1, 2, 3. That's good. You're at 40, right?
Right.
Let's go 44. I'm gonna see if I'm trying to get her a little quicker in the return.
Yeah.
But she did a good, she did
Turn
disengage
around,
fairly.
yeah.
Break, break, break.
Ruthie, come.
Tap, 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 tap. You're good. Back. 1, 2, 3. Turn to face her. Oh, you got it. Right there. Good. And praise. Good girl. Good. We're going to do 3 more. Tap, 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 tap. Back. Good. 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 1 more. Tap, tap. There we go. That's good. Very good. Good. So go ahead and have that leash in your right hand and heel forward. Tap. Tap. There she goes. Slow down to a stop here. Very good. So that last one was pretty good because you tapped a couple times, but before tension kicked in, she actually turned around and went back towards you. Okay. So I'm wanting her to disengage from whoever's running from her before tension kicks in. You want her to respond to the remote, okay? So, but this is just like the foundation of it. So when you work with your daughters, start always with the walking. Always like warm up to the running away. As she gets more quick on the response, then you could then go to like the running around playing type of deal. Always with the leash until you find like it's pretty spot on that she returns, no problem. Okay. Question so far?
If we take her to her, take her off her leash and run around, as long as we don't say come, can we do that, or should we always have her up as long as we run around?
Oh, you mean like yeah.
Play.
That's fine. You're just avoiding the word.
Just avoid the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like I've had clients say like let's go or like some other word that's similar to the come but not the come, so they really make it concrete. Like that's fine too. Yeah. You know, because like in the house and stuff, people say, come on, and the dog's like not moving. So at this stage, we're just trying to make it very concrete. Every time I call you, it means you return, okay? So you have two ways of approaching this. One is with your family, friends, you know, with the leash, you know, all that stuff. And then the other is you're by yourself, you're with Ruthie, and you're gonna use the park and what it has to your advantage with like the squirrels, the rabbits, the birds. Yeah. And the longer she does something, so like let's say she's barking at squirrels in the tree, I let her do that. A couple of minutes go by. Now I'm gonna call you, okay? Because the longer she does that, the more disconnected she gets from you. The more into it she gets to that squirrel, whatever it is she's chasing. So like I tell people it's like kids playing video games, because you'll come in and say like, wash the dishes. And then come back 30 minutes later, it's like, you wash the dishes? Like, no, I didn't hear you tell me. Yeah, so same thing with dogs, you know, when they're in that state of mind, they're not, one ear, not the other. But the remote, because the physicality allows you to break through all that and go like, hey, you need to pay attention. Exactly. And what's great with dogs that have good prey drive is that I can use the distraction as rewarding. Come, good girl, wait a little bit, make sure she doesn't prematurely go, and then, okay, break, and have some more fun, okay? Now, if I do that a few times, I may on the last one just drag her or reel her in, or go and just grab her and leash her there and walk away, and I don't end it always on a recall off of the distraction, and kind of like so I don't dissuade her from wanting to chase squirrels. You know, like you're trying to get a balance of the. Yes, you're giving some. Yeah, you're giving some looseness there, so that we don't kill the drive completely, so that we can always have that to our advantage, okay? Let me think here. Oh, what I liked about Ruthie's and her response today is she's actually fairly relaxed. So a lot of times with dogs, with this exercise, they tend to shoot back to the owner, or they're like anticipating and like, because they're wanting to avoid the hit. Not her. She was walking and running with me, no problem. At no point was she like, oh, forget this is stupid. She was maintaining her looseness. So that's good in the sense that it makes it easier to practice with her. So like Luna, when I was working with Elizabeth, I would step away and she'd already be pulling and I'm like holding her like, wait, and then okay, now call her, right? Because she already knew the game. She's like, you're gonna call me and I don't want to get tapped, so I'm gonna just run to you. But for her, she was staying nice and relaxed, and that's what I'm wanting. I'm wanting her, look, enjoy yourself, be a dog, have fun, chase stuff, but come when I call you. That's how I think about it, okay? The next thing we were doing is testing out that heel, right? So with this device, you get up to off-leash level obedience. Now the methods that we're using are off-leash methods. It's just a matter of does the owner practice, okay? So now that you have the long leash, you know, we call this the long leash phase. We have a short leash to long leash dragging, to no leash enclosed area, to no leash unenclosed area. That's those progress points, okay? So here, with Ruthie, you have a 30-foot leash that you can practice her heel, a trepice or whatever, and you're walking with her, everything stays the same. Your left turn stay the same, your pivot stay the same, everything, nothing changes, okay? Nothing changes, but the length of your leash. So she should be able to do all this stuff. Exactly, okay? So then, if you want to build her to that degree of having that, like let's say you take her out on a cabin or a lakefront or something, and she's going to be off leash, but you need her to come.
That's probably the only time we're ever
off leash for the stuff like that. Yeah. So then you have that available to you, and that's exactly how we practice it. Okay, you're on the long leash, and we go into those settings. Yeah, try right here.
Ruthie, come.
Back, tap. There we go. Back, tap. Back, tap. What's your number? Oh, you're doing continuous. You're doing continuous.
Did I do continuous?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's why she was yipping. Because I was thinking right now, because she had cooled off a bit. So it's the bumpy one.
Yeah, I know. I slipped.
It's okay. So there, and I look at it this way. Okay, ideally we don't want to do that.
No.
But there is a positive to it. In real life, it happened to Melissa with Nash. He took off, and this was before I think we even did recall, and she had the continuous at 127, which is the max. So when I saw her the next class after that, and she was like, "Was that okay?" I'm like, "Well, it's an emergency situation. It's like you just let your dog go, or you gamble and get your dog back, you know." And he returned, but she had to do it continuous, right? So right there, you just tested it essentially. She did turn it towards you, then she kind of stalled and she panicked again. She ultimately came back. That's the way I look at it. Okay. And this is something I tell everybody is that at some point for the recall, what I'll have people do is what I suggest to them is I say, after you've practiced this, if you're like really confident your dog's recall, take them out, still on the leash, and the leash, super distracted. I max out the collar, I don't say anything, and I give a tap on 127. What are you going to do? Sometimes the dog should run away. So I use 127 to make a return, and the other goes by. Like, because when real life happens, you're going to be at 127. And one, for the owner, it's hard. Emotionally, they feel bad, right? But then secondly, the dog, they're going to panic. That's a lot of power. This is very uncomfortable. How do I work through this, right? So you're doing it within a controlled context. So then you're already prepared. It's that fire escape plan and hoping it never happens. Okay? Questions? So she did really good. I like the response. Keep practicing like this. Remember, if you can't make it happen, don't worry about using the word. This tends to take people the longest to teach because you have Travis right there. But you have to then make trips to the park and then practice. So I would suggest that people, if you're going to go for a walk, set some time aside to stop, even if it's 5 minutes, to be loose and free, practice that recall. Okay?
Yeah, it's nice being
Yeah, that's the thing. Sure. Now remember, if you practice Travis, you'll be great at Travis. But when you come here, it's different. Okay?
We come here too.
Anything else?
How'd you get it?
I had rescued Zena, who's a chow mix, and she was scared of people. So then I started looking for trainers. This was back in Texas. And everything they told me didn't make sense. Like, I remember going to PetSmart, like most people did, because I didn't know anything. And then the guy was like, "Oh, what do you know? Do you need help?" I'm like, "Yeah, my dog's scared of people." He's like, "Oh, well, we have trainers, and we teach him to sit, and stay, and down." And I'm like, "What does that mean about being scared of people?" Right? And it led to me doing research and stuff, and I found something on a really big influence. And I actually ended up teaching at being a trainer at that PetSmart. And then I always wanted to work with dogs with issues because those are the ones that get hurt. And then I kept doing research and learning and self-taught. And then I went to Rick Klein, So definitely when she's outside, when she's on a walk, if you're going to be in a setting where she might potentially bark at people, we have it on. But I'll give you other methods of correcting her so that you're not solely reliant on eco. Okay. But otherwise, yeah, that's great. If you want me to work with them, you can set that up as well. Yeah, that would be through Maria and then just coordinating the schedules. Otherwise, his info you can give to me, and then if I ever get anybody.
He's a good guy. We used to work dogs, now he's
Oh yeah.
but our other dogs. Got sick. He just happened to be which was fine one day. Dogs were all he rushed down the hospital. Dog walker got her in the car. She's like, leaving her dog. Brought her to the vet. They rushed her in. He rushed home. She got it. She made it.
Really attentive.
I mean, he did not just, call us and say, your problem now is like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. There was the energy. We had to really give it some money.
Yeah, send me his
It's
info.
reliable.
Because I've had clients use really steep dogs. Because I worked with a couple of their dog walkers because they were open to use the call or whatever. So yeah, send me his info, and whenever I can come across anybody, I can refer him. And then if you have any other questions, let us know. And then whenever you're ready, you can set up the Zoom.
Yeah, I sent Maria a message after I watched the video.
Yeah. So then, that should,
Won't be hard to do. That's not going to be a real challenge.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Good job.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.